About 2 or 3 weeks ago, my team walked away from $130,000 worth of survey work. For us, that's a lot of money. that would keep my team busy for 3 or 4 months, my current team. And so you might wonder, why would Landon do that? That's a lot of money to leave on the table. Why would he walk away from that? This is a client that we were under contract with. So we had won some of the initial work. Well, in order to understand why I did that, you need to understand what the client needed to accomplish their goal, what the client wanted to pay for, and then why we made the decision to walk away from this work. And this is important. I wanted to explain this for a couple reasons. One is I think it helps potential clients that watch this video understand how we work here at my company and how we try and help you. And I think it's good. I wanted to share it with other real estate consultants, surveyors, appraisers, civil engineers, because too often I think we as consultants don't tell our clients what they need to hear. And sometimes we hold back the truth from them because it's in our own financial self-interest. and that's a shame. We shouldn't do that. Part of being a good consultant is being honest with your client about risks and about the way things need to be done. So, what did this client need? They were an energy company. They were not. They weren't. It wasn't ExxonMobil or Chevron, but they were a mid-sized energy company in the natural gas market. So these are not mom and pop folks. These are big boys with lots of money. And they were trying to acquire land rights for pipeline facilities on 16 different parcels across 2 counties. So these are, processing facilities that they needed to build as part of some new pipeline projects. And after they acquired the land rights, they needed to build. They needed to actually build the facilities, and per the design that they needed to actually build what had been planned by the engineer to get this pipeline up and running. So that's what the client needed, and as part of that, they needed to acquire some parcels and some small parcels, and they needed to acquire some easement rights. So what did the client ask for? And this is somebody that was referred to us by a business partner. So the client came to us and said, well, we need 16 land title surveys. And I said, oh, okay, that's great. You need 16 land title surveys of what? And they said, well, so they gave me a list of 16 APNs. And I said, okay. I said, this is quite a bit of work. When do you need it? We need it yesterday. Of course you do. Of course you need it yesterday. So I started asking some questions, because we try and do that. Who's the lender? What do they want on the table A? All the questions that we ask people when they think they need a land title survey. And come to find out, they're actually not really interested in the overall parent parcels. They're interested in these smaller parcels that they want to acquire on the inside of these larger farmland parcels. And so we started talking to them, and we're like, well, do you need a land title survey of the parent parcel or of the parcel that you want to acquire? And they didn't know, and they weren't sure. Make a long story short, I ended up on the phone with the client's land attorney, and I ended up on the phone with the vice president of the title company, and trying to figure out what these guys want and make sure that we don't. I told them, I said, I could go do 16 land title surveys of these farm parcels for you, but that may not be what you need, and it may not get your pipeline built. So let's figure out what we got to do to get your pipeline built, because that's ultimately what you're trying to accomplish. So we did some initial work. We looked at some title reports. We reviewed some schematic designs from their engineer. And here's what we figured out. We basically went back to the client after a week or two of work and said, you guys aren't ready. And if we keep going, we're just going to waste your money. So we said, let's talk about what you guys need to do to get this done the right way, to acquire the land rights that you're actually going to need to build your facilities. So first of all, you got to go back to your title company. We're missing all kinds of documents, right? So they got crummy service from their title company. We said, there's no way you're going to get through this process without the right title documents. We said, hey, your engineer's working on, he's doing sketch work off of Google Maps. Like, you need a real survey control system. All these facilities got to be tied together. They all got to link together. We need to obtain at least some bare bones topographic surveys at the location of each of the proposed facilities so that you can figure out where these need to go. I said, otherwise there's no way to tie down your engineer's design to the physical features that we're going to survey. We need to be able to relate the engineer's design to the legal land rights that you're going to acquire. So we need to work with your engineer to figure out exactly where these facilities need to go on the ground. Then we need to work with your engineer to create footprints. We need some kind of footprint for the facility. You know, you got to think about what you're going to need to actually maintain these facilities, not just the footprint of the physical structures, but you got to be able to drive around them and clean around them and inspect them and all this other stuff. So, hey, we got to work with you and the engineer to figure out what the footprint needs to be of the land rights that we're going to acquire. You know, we can prepare those footprints, but we need input from the engineer. And we also got to talk to the farmers. You know, the farmers are going to have concerns about where these things go, how big they are, what shape they are, how you drive to them, all that stuff. You know, you need to have some conversations with your landowners. Said after we're done, we need to prepare land description packages, not only for the parcel that you want to acquire, but for the access road in and out of the parcel and for the pipeline infrastructure in and out of the parcel. All those things are going to need easements. Then when we've done all of that work, then we're ready to prepare a land title survey as part of the transaction so you can actually acquire the easements and the parcels that you need. Now, we told the client, look, to do what you need is going to be 2 times the cost that we gave you for the land title survey, at least. And we were giving them a good price. I thought it was a very fair price. I said, yeah, you're going to double. So this, instead of being $130,000 worth of work, this is going to be $260,000 worth of work. And I'll just be honest with you, the client had a heart attack. You know, they thought we were trying to cheat them. They thought we were trying to take advantage of them. You know, they thought we were just trying to squeeze extras out of their budget. And you know, if you know me and my company at all, you know that's not how we operate. I try and be totally transparent with our clients about costs up front. And in this situation, we didn't have the knowledge until we got a little bit involved in the project and understood what these guys were really trying to do. So I laid this all out for the client. I laid it out for their attorney, called them, put it in an email, said, hey, here's what you guys need to do. The land attorney agreed with me, said, you know what, you're absolutely right. These guys don't know what they're doing. They need a plan. You have a plan. We need to work with you to figure out the plan, or we're never going to get this thing built. And the client the client basically said, if you're not willing, they came back to us and said, if you're not willing to do everything that you talked about for the price you gave us for the land title surveys, we're going to go find another surveyor. And I talked to my partner, Danny, and I said, you guys got to go find another surveyor then. And I even gave him some names. I gave him some names and phone numbers. Here's some people you can call in the area that do decent work. And that was hard. I didn't want to do that. It was a lot of work for my team. We could have used some of that work. But here's the deal. That client did not value our expertise. They didn't value the advice that we were trying to give them. And I knew if they pushed forward and tried to cowboy this pipeline project, they were going to run into all kinds of trouble. You just don't do that. You just don't, especially here in California. Just not how you do things. And I didn't want to be a part of a project that colossally failed like that. And I also know that this type of client that refuses to listen to good advice, doesn't value your expertise, is only worried about getting the cheapest price they can get. That is the type of client that immediately sues you as soon as something goes sideways, whether it's your fault or not. And I don't need to work for those kind of clients, right? That's not the type of people we want to work for. So there you go. I had to walk away from at least $100,000, maybe a couple $100,000 worth of work, because I had a client that wouldn't listen to good advice about how to approach their project, and they're going to go find a surveyor to do 16 land title surveys. And they're not going to be able to build the pipeline. So they're going to end up spending the money that I told them they were going to spend, only they're going to spend more because they're not looking at this project from a comprehensive aspect. So here's the lesson. As for potential clients out there, hire a surveyor you trust that's going to keep your interests ahead of their own, and then listen to that surveyor's advice. Secondly, When you go out and try to acquire professional services like land surveying, it could be appraisals or title insurance, all that. If you try and get that based on low bid, you ain't get what you pay for, and it's going to cost you more money in the long run. And the third lesson for potential clients is, major infrastructure projects in California are no joke. And you gotta, if you're serious about doing business in this state and you want to build a big infrastructure project like that, you need to come to the table with your big boy pants on, and you need to be prepared to deal with the complexities of that type of project in a heavy regulated state. And then for consultants, I think there's some lessons there for other consultants. You need to always be honest with your client about what they need. I could have sold that guy some land title surveys. It wouldn't have got his pipeline built, and I didn't want to waste his money. So that's good advice for clients. Sometimes you got to walk away from work. I remember a few years ago I reviewed some work from another surveyor that he had done some control work for the city, and that the city hired us because they couldn't understand the deliverable the other surveyor gave them. And so I started talking to the city and the other surveyor, and realized that the city got exactly what they paid for. And I asked the city, I said, well, why didn't you, you've got a deliverable you can't understand, why didn't you ask the surveyor to give you A, B, and C? And they said, well, we didn't have the budget for that. I said, well, that sucks. I said, and I paid taxes in this city. So I said, that sucks for me as a taxpayer, because you've essentially wasted money now on the surveyor's work and you can't use his product. And, now, what should the surveyor have done? The surveyor at the proposal stage should have told the client, we'd love to have this work, but we really can't, we don't feel like we can deliver you a product that you're going to be able to use for the budget that you have. So don't waste your money. So consultants make this mistake a lot of just, they're so interested in the short-term profit that they'll just do work for the client that the client doesn't need, or even could be taking the client down the completely wrong path. And so don't be that kind of consultant. Figure out what your client really needs to reach their goals. And if you got a client that doesn't want to listen to your advice when you're putting their interests first, that's a client you want to give to your competition.